In this video, I'm going to go over importing the sample scene, updating the project settings, and then also updating the scene settings in order for it to work with the Ultimate Character Controller. I am using the Ultimate Character Controller, but the same steps apply if you're using UFPS or the third-person controller. So to get started, I have created a new Unity project and then also imported the Ultimate Character Controller. As soon as you import the Ultimate Character Controller, this dialog will pop up that says that the button mappings or layers need to be updated, as well as the render pipeline if you're using Universal or HDRP. Then it says if you're just getting started, you should update these with the button below, and I do want to do that, but before I do that, I want to show what happens if you don't do it, and in order to do that, I want to get the sample scene for the Ultimate Character Controller. Now, the sample scene is a separate package because the Ultimate Character Controller uses the package manager package format, so it's installed under this Opsive Ultimate Character Controller directory. In order to install the sample scene, you can either do that through the package manager, or what's better is to go through this samples tab and then import it through here. What this will do is it will also import the integration required for the universal render pipeline, because the sample scene does use the universal render pipeline. And as soon as the sample scene gets done importing, you can then open it up. It's installed under this samples Opsive Ultimate Character Controller folder. And when you open it, there will be this dialog or this screen that shows the requirements for the sample scene. Now, we have already satisfied the first three requirements with TextMesh Pro, Universal Render Pipeline, and the integration. The one thing that we have not satisfied is this setting the render pipeline asset, and that's actually why we're getting these warnings in the console right now. To set this render pipeline asset, it kind of depends on the Unity version that you're using, but for Unity 6, which is what I'm using here, it's under the project settings or the quality settings. You can see that there's this render pipeline asset. In prior Unity versions, it was set under this graphics setting, but I will include the steps in the documentation for each Unity version. So for this Unity version, I want to set it here, and I want to set it to the demo one that is included with the sample scene. As soon as I do that, I don't get any more errors or warnings, and that warning occurred because the first person perspective uses a different renderer in order to prevent, for example, the arms from overlapping the wall right in front of the character. So now that that is set, if I go ahead and hit play, we should see the problem of not setting or not updating the buttons and the layers. So let me go ahead and hit play, and then as soon as it starts. All right, so now we'll select a zone that we want to be in, and I'm just going to select the first one, and you can see that we are now getting a bunch of errors in the console, basically saying that these button mappings haven't been set up. If I go ahead and click on the character, we can also see that like this layer here isn't set. So that can easily be set under this project tab. Now, if you do close this window, you can easily access it again from the Tools Opsive Ultimate Character Controller Setup Manager. And then now I'm just going to hit this button. As soon as I hit the button, it will say that the assets have been updated. So that is good. And now let me go ahead and just close this window and hit play, and we should no longer get any more errors. All right, so let's go back to the locomotion, and no more errors. So good, that worked successfully. Now, the last thing that we need to do is set up your own scene, and in order to do that, I'm going to create a new scene. We can use any render pipeline. I'm going to use URP in this case. Let's go ahead and go back to the Setup Manager, and then under this Scene tab, we are going to want to go through these four different options. So the first one is add some managers, and these are all the singletons that get added for the Ultimate Character Controller. So that looks good here. Under camera setup, we want to set up a bolt perspective since we're using the Ultimate Character Controller, and we do want both a first and a third person perspective. So let me go ahead and just show what it's doing. So right now, if I click on camera, you can see we don't have very many components, but now I'll click Setup Camera, and now we have a few more components added for the character controller, so that worked correctly. And then we also want to set up the UI and virtual controls, and that's just a button press, and those are just components that get added under the canvas. So now as our scene is set up, now we can go ahead and create the character, which will be in the next video.